tax reform bill currently before the National Assembly is gaining wider acceptability as civil society organizations, clerics, academia and public relation practitioners have endorsed the process of reforming tax laws and administration in the country. The conversation agreed on the need to repeal obsolete laws which impede tax administration. Suraju Abdullahi reports that the consensus among speakers at the just concluded annual general meeting of the Kaduna chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations is an endorsement of the federal government's efforts to reinvigorate the nation's economy.
Issues on tax reform was the focus of this 2024 annual lecture of Nigerian Institute of Public Relations as captured on this year's theme, Tax Reform, the role of public relations in fostering constructive dialogue for national economic renaissance. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, says reforming tax system is key in the Renew Hope agenda drive of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to reset the Nigerian economy on irreversible paths for sustainable development.
It is very inspiring and heartwarming to see Nigerians from all walks of life coming out to express their views and opinions on these matters of critical national importance. As such, it is the very essence and the meaning of democracy itself. In spite of the challenge of trust deficit that tends to crop up around matters of governance in Nigeria, we have still been able to have what can be adjudged as a robust debate on this very sensitive national issue. President Tinubu has also been very clear that the executive will listen to and work with all stakeholders to ensure that all concerns are duly and comprehensively addressed.
Other critical stakeholders, experts, traditional and religious leaders share constructive opinion with a view to harmonizing divergent interests and deepening dialogue and discussion.
We monitor what happens, and because we monitor trends, we analyze trends. And because we analyze trends, we become prophets because we predict consequences.
The forum opens opportunity for further consultation, engagement, and comprehensive public education. From Kaduna, Suraj Abdullahi, NTA News.
And talking health, Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, says trillions of dollars in stimulus money expended by the world governments during the COVID-19 pandemic proves that global resources are available for intervention, but that it is now needed in the form of preventative and proactive investments in global health security. The coordinating minister informed the forum that President Bola Tinubu, who serves as the African Union's champion for health, is implementing a comprehensive reform of the sector that is harmonizing the health policies and programs of subnational governments with the federal government's reform initiative. The coordinating minister made this known as he presented Nigeria's strategic blueprint for the sector before an audience of global leaders at the Doha Forum in Doha, Qatar, on this Saturday.
The retraining, the expansion of training of the human resources, and we've trained almost 53,000 frontline health workers in the last 1 year so that they are deployed to the front ends. The financing, domestic financing, had not been, let's say, allocatively very efficient. It had focused on higher end care, which was not as efficient, to reorienting towards primary health care and expanding the functionality of the primary healthcare system is at the core of the President's Renewed Hope agenda, the Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative, to expand the functionality of the primary healthcare system, to prevent diseases, but also to deal with them very early on before they get complicated, and to expand the infrastructure, the human resources and services by making sure that population are able to afford that.
And still talking health, over 50,000 poor and vulnerable people are being enrolled to access free medical care in Gombe State under the Basic Health Care Provision Fund in 2024. Emmanuel Akila reports that the target is towards achieving the universal health coverage.
No fewer than 55,000 people, including pregnant women, children under 5 years, internally displaced persons, people living with disabilities, and those above the age of 60 would be enrolled across the 11 local government areas of Gombe State to access free medical care in the next 1 year.
For many years, the Go Health enrollment has been going on. They give us free medication, including childbirth. We just come to the hospital with our Go Health card and we are given free medical care.
In the past 4 years, Gombe State Contributory Healthcare Management Agency, Go Health, has enrolled thousands in the formal and informal sectors under the state's healthcare insurance scheme. And now the enrollment of the poor and vulnerable under the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund to have free medical care. All of this is targeted at achieving the universal health coverage target.
With the effort of Go Health or this BHCPF contribution, they are having their CS free of charge with no single kobo spent from the admission up to the discharge. The key point is just to attain or to achieve universal health coverage.
The enrollment exercise goes on for 10 days in the primary healthcare centers in the 114 wards in the state. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
In other news, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has been conferred with Honorary Doctor of Management Award by Federal University of Technology, Owerri. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports that the First Lady tops the list of 3 eminent Nigerians who got the honor at the 36th convention ceremony of the institution.
That procession featuring Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu kickstarts the academic ceremony that adds another feather to her already well-decorated cap, this time as a Doctor of Management honoris causa conferred on her by the Federal University of Technology, Owerri. Governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, bagged a similar award, while his counterpart from Borno State, Professor Babangana Zulum, was conferred with Honorary Doctor of Technology Award. A consummate seeker of knowledge, the First Lady is thrilled by the honor. There and then, she announced her intention to launch a green environmental club.
To drive environmental awareness, particularly propel proper disposal of plastic waste across the country. So we want you to be green ambassadors, and I look forward to working with some of you in the nearest future. Today, with my love for and support for education, I have donated already the sum of 50 million naira as an endowment fund for the overall best graduating female student of the Federal University of Technology, Owerri.
I, as the governor of Imo State, will resolve all the land issues, working with the communities.
The most important thing that I want to advise this university, as an academician, is to ensure that the type of courses that they should run in this university should create jobs.
The conferment, which is a major highlight of the 36th convocation ceremony of the institution, is in recognition of the First Lady's immense contributions to the development and management of human resources.
Your selection for conferment of this award is an eloquent testament to your selfless service to humanity.
The Council is proud of the sterling achievements of our students.
The right questions, ladies and gentlemen, should always be, what should I do for future? And what can I do to make Nigeria a better country?
A total of 632 postgraduate students received various awards at the convocation. From Owerri, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
Counting of ballots, we hear, has commenced after close of polls in the Ghana presidential and parliamentary elections across the capital city, Accra, where some international observers, including that of ECOWAS, monitored the process of ballot sorting and counting went without hitches. Calvin Ahunwahi reports.
Though there was no restriction of movement, the streets of Accra, West County, as the citizens trooped to the various voting centers to cast their ballots for the next president of Ghana. As at the time, the ECOWAS election observation team, led by former Vice President of Nigeria, Namadi Sambo, arrived at the Accra Municipal Town Arena. The process was already in full swing.
It started at exactly 7 o'clock, and voting went ahead smoothly, and in all the voting stations that we have visited, everything is going on fine.
The functional situation room, ECOWAS observation mission, keep track of reports from its observers from across the 16 regions in the country. Ghana operates simple majority system of voting. The candidate is required to score more than 50% of the vote to be declared winner. And at the end of collation, if no candidate scores that, the election goes into a runoff between the two candidates with the highest number of votes. Although there are 10 other candidates in this election, the contest is mainly between incumbent Vice President Muhammadu Bawumia and former President John Mahama. From Accra, Ghana, Kelvin Ewunwaye, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu has rejigged his list of nominees for the South-East Development Commission Board, replacing the initial chairman, Emeka Atuma, with Dr. Emeka Nwogu. In a statement by the Presidential Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the President replaced all the 3 executive directors initially nominated and named 2 additional executive directors. The President also removed one of the board members, Donatus Ehina Nwakpa. However, Mark Okoye retains his position as the Commission's Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of the 16-member board, 1 more member than the initial board. The new Executive Director for Finance is Stanley Ohajuruka, who replaced Anthony Ugbo in the first list. Toby Okechukwu is the new Executive Director of Projects. He replaces Obinna Obi-Kwehihe. Sylvester Okonkwo is now the Executive Director for Corporate Services, replacing Dr. Daniel Ikechukwu Uguja. The 2 nominated Executive Directors without a portfolio are Chidi Echeazu and Dr. Clifford Ogbede. The President retained Ugochukwu Agbala, Oke Ozenwa, Hyacinth Ikpo, Ifeanyi Agu, Nasiru Usman, and Hamma Adama Ali Kumo. The other nominees also retained are Edward David Onoja, Orure Kurufe Inima, and Joke Adebayo Chukwuma. All the nominations are subject to Senate confirmation. President Tinubu expects the new nominees as pioneers to use their wealth of experience to actualize the Commission's mandate and develop the Southeast region. All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll begin a conversation on the Port Harcourt refinery rebirth. Of course, you know, it's a new dawn for Nigeria's oil industry, so please stay tuned.
Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris, FNIPR, cordially invites Commissioners of Information and Orientation and Strategy.
Before we begin our conversation properly, let's see some reports. President Bola Tinubu's revitalization agenda for Nigeria's petroleum industry is gaining momentum, particularly in the restart of the Port Harcourt refinery. Our correspondent, Lydia Samson, reports that the initiative is part of a broader strategy to enhance domestic production capacity and reduce reliance on imported fuels, thereby supporting the National Economic Recovery Plan.
After several failed dates and deadlines, President Bola Tinubu's directive to NNPC Limited was clear. Nigerians do not want to hear about your efforts, but rather see results. Armed with the determination to get results and working round the clock behind the scene, the old 60,000 barrels per day Port Harcourt refinery was delivered as almost brand new. This is because the contractors, who are the original equipment manufacturers, fitted it with new and latest technologies and without prior announcements, delivered on the goal.
The facility in full production, and thanks to everybody.
Taking journalists and stakeholders on a guided tour of the refinery, the managing director provides more insight.
Please look at the plan, and a few of our stakeholders will take you to the sampling point.
At the control center, Real-time production process is monitored and captured. The revival is expected to stabilize fuel supply, create jobs, improve foreign exchange reserves by increasing local refining capacity.
Without leadership support, you cannot achieve results like this. And we are convinced beyond all doubt that without the support, perseverance, and patience of Mr. President, we will not have achieved this feat. And all of us must congratulate him because this is his massive pressure that made us to come to this level. And we are very happy. And I congratulate my colleagues in the refinery and outside the refinery.
My colleagues have been working very closely with the contractor as well as the management of PHRC. What is important is, like the contractor said, the upgrade to new technology. So this is an old plant that come back with the new current technology, and we are particularly supportive and work closely with that to ensure that all the regulatory requirements were met.
The issue of monoproducts has been erased, and the issue of monopoly has come to the past. So within the Venezuela, we are so happy. It has also increased our local production.
You don't expect everything to just kickstart immediately. For the fact that it has been launched, even if there are little technical issues, we expect that they should be able to fine-tune it.
They want improved infrastructure, especially pipelines and regulatory support to ensure a robust downstream sector, ultimately contributing to energy security and economic stability. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
All right, and we have two guests in the studio. Let's welcome Comrade Festus Osifo. He's the President, Pengasan. Thank you so much for joining us, Comrade.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Good evening, viewers. Good evening, Nigerians.
Good evening to you. We also have a national policy analyst, Mr. Majid Dahiru.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'll start with you, Comrade. No doubt you agree with me that the relaunch of the Port Harcourt refinery has awakened a nostalgic feeling of the good old days. Now, beyond the razzmatazz we've seen accompanied it, could you explain the significance of this feat we're witnessing?
Yes. The comeback of the old Port Harcourt refinery for us, it's a welcome development. If you could remember, over this period in the last years, Pengasan has actually been at the forefront of a push for this refinery to start working because we actually have members cut across these various refineries, although the membership strength was actually cut down and sent to other SBUs in NNPC. Now that the refinery is working, the old Port Harcourt refinery, and with the expectation that the new Port Harcourt refinery is going to come on stream, one of the major key or the things that we are really elated about is that it's going to create a lot of job opportunities. The job opportunities are not just direct jobs, even indirect jobs. Because if you go to the LMA area of Port Harcourt today, since the old Port Harcourt refinery came on stream, you are going to see business activities. They've all picked up from that area. So beyond the jobs that it's going to create, it's also going to start delivering raw materials to fertilizer companies, to plastic industries and all that. So the value chain of the crude oil and gas business will be deepened. So that is why we are really elated. That is why we are happy. Beyond the fact that it's going to add to the PMS supply to the nation, as well as the DPK and the ATK, the aviation fuel, to the mix. Apart from all that, we are excited majorly because of the job opportunities that will be created, and it will kind of ease some level of pain from Nigerians because, again, our expectation over this period has been that this refinery should come on stream, and now we are here.
Okay, Mr. Darihu, I want to believe you share same perspective, especially with the news we hear that the refinery has sold its first cargo of low-sulfur straight-run fuel oil. So tell us, what's your take on that?
Thank you very much. In addition to what the Comrade President has just talked about, in terms of job creation and the revitalization of the economy around the refinery in the host community, the export of the first product out of that refinery into the international market is going to boost Nigeria's foreign exchange earnings. And NNPC, as a company that is now profit-oriented, will also have a lot to deliver to the Nigerian Federation account by way of dividends, I'm sure by the next fiscal year. So it's an all-round positive development for us as a country. At a time, it was looking as though the operation and revitalization of publicly owned refineries was going to be a mirage. But thank God that has been broken. And as a Nigerian, I feel very proud that for the first time, I think in our lifetime, we are witnessing a publicly owned refinery that is going to add to the coffers of the Federation. Do not forget that NNPC is owned by all of us Nigerians. And so for every export that NNPC is going to make out of that refinery, the revenue comes to us as a people through the Federation account. So it's going to boost the wealth of our country. It's going to boost our revenue liquidity. And I hope and pray that all other refineries will come on stream by mid-next year as promised by the management of the NNPC. So it's a very positive development.
Okay, Comrade Osifo, you are a member of the Refineries Rehabilitation Committee. Now, tell us, or rather explain the operations of this rebirth we're seeing, and of course, how would these, douse the perceived fears that the refinery is not actually dispensing?
No. Again, I've said it elsewhere as well, that Nigerians that have been skeptical today, that the refinery is not working, that is blending and all that. First, we don't have to blame them in any way because over the years, the expectations have actually been so high and the deliverables has been relatively low. So they have all the reasons in the world to be a bit skeptical. But in all reality, the refinery today is working the process that gives us PMS. A lot of people does not really understand because actually, if you refine 1 barrel of crude, it's going to give you about 170 liters of product. That 170 liters is broken down to 73 liters of PMS, about 39 liters of diesel, which we call DPK, then about 7 liters, diesel, which we call AGO, and about 7 liters of DPK, which we popularly refer to as kerosene. And the other component makes 51 liters. So if you add them, it gives you 170. But that 170 liters that you obtain is not gotten in a straight run. When you feed crude into the distillating unit, that crude is going to give you principally, in this old refinery, is going to give you principally the light naphtha, then it's also going to give you the diesel, and it will give you the kerosene. But the old refinery is not designed to give you the aviation fuel. So when you get that naphtha, which we could refer to as a straight-run gasoline. When you get that gasoline, if you feed it into the car, the engine of the car is going to knock immediately. So that light naphtha that you have gotten is passed through further processes. And the processes with which you pass that naphtha through is what is called blending. So all refineries in the world carry out blending operations. But in the case of this old Port Harcourt refinery, that light naphtha is now passed through or mixed with a process, in a process with a product that we call crack C5. So crack C5 today is not produced in Port Harcourt refinery, but crack C5 is being gotten from Element Petrochemical and is blended. But the unit that is going to produce a reformate is just more or less like a crack C5. So that unit is being fixed currently. So when that unit is working, there is no need to get any other blending product from outside the Port Harcourt refinery. We are now going to mix the straight run that comes clearly from the distillating unit, which we could call the light naphtha, with the reformate that will come from the platformer unit. So when that happens, we are going to get the PMS that satisfy the octane number. Octane number is actually a number that is used in determining the quality of PMS. That's the way I could explain it as to the layman. But again, we have what we call the anti-knocking effect and all that. So when that is done, we will get a product that will fit into our car, and at the end of the day, it will come up nicely. But to quickly state as well, that what Nigerians should be interested in today is that, is Old Port Harcourt refinery producing kerosene? The answer is yes. Is the Old Port Harcourt refinery producing diesel? The answer is yes. Is it producing PMS? The answer is yes. We should not bother too much about the technicalities of the process that lead to this product.
Comrade, I was even going to talk about the terminologies and the technicalities you're trying to break down for us. But let's hear from Mr. Dahiru. Now, beyond all these terminologies and the technicality Comrade has brought on board, how does this, affect Nigerians, talking about addressing that long-standing challenges of meeting domestic fuel demands? I'm sure that's what Nigerians are interested in.
Yes, with the coming on stream of the Old Port Harcourt refinery, it's going to add to the availability component of energy security in terms of PMS and other energy products that are derived from hydrocarbons, just like diesel, like kerosene, and of course aviation fuel. So at least on the part of availability, it's going to add to the energy security quotient of the Nigerian state. So it's also a positive development. And I hope that all other refineries will come on stream too, so as to add to the quantity and the volume of products that are being produced locally. So I think Nigeria is gradually moving towards self-reliance. If you combine the output of both the privately owned refineries in Nigeria now that are operational too, and the coming on stream of this refinery, Nigeria is gradually becoming self-reliant in domestic refined crude production. However, it is still a long way to go, but we are steadily getting there. And hopefully, by the time all our facilities are on board and new ones also come on stream, maybe Nigeria will now finally become a net exporter of refined products. And that will really be the game changer for us as a country, because it means we will now join the league of energy superpowers that are supplying the global market with energy products and services. So this is the first step towards the destination we hope to be as a net exporter of refined petroleum products.
All right, Mr. Dariho, Comrade, I'll definitely pick up the conversation with you both after this break. Please stay tuned.
Holiday season, the chance to showcase my exquisite taste in furniture through hosting my annual Christmas get-together. With LifeMade Furniture's Christmas discounts, I can upgrade my space without breaking the bank.
Save big this festive season with LifeMade Christmas mega discounts from November 1st to December 31st. For more information, call 081 2000 6000 or visit elifemade.com. Wish you a stylish Christmas with LifeMade Furniture.
At Home Options, you're welcome to a world of elegance, where every corner whispers sophistication. Step into our showroom and indulge your senses with our timeless designs and craftsmanship, from plush sofas to magnificent dining tables that host lifetime celebrations. Our collections, the hallmark of luxury. Create your haven with exclusive bedroom selections and turn your sanctuary into a realm of refined tranquility. When it comes to bathroom solutions, our stylish fixtures, lavish tubs and showers are crafted for your well-being, transforming your daily routine into a ritual of indulgence. At Home Options, we provide lifestyle solutions. So, visit our showrooms in Lagos and Port Harcourt, because your space deserves to mirror your impeccable taste. Home Options. Live well.
Hey Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas. Drive with CNG, the smart, cost-effective choice. Fill up for less and travel further. Save money, save the planet. Switch to LPG for cooking. It's cleaner, healthier, and better for environment. Say goodbye to smoke and eye problems. Do you know Nigeria is a gas nation ranked 9th globally with over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve? Gas isn't just for cooking and driving. It powers industry industries too. Cleaner, cheaper, and more efficient. And the best part, conversion centers are popping up everywhere. It's never been easier to switch to gas. Join the cleaner energy revolution. Choose LPG for cooking and CNG for your vehicles. Clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigerian Ministry and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
For a certain period of time, shouts of joy and faces of defeat punctuates the daily activities of NEWI. The reason? The Kingsley Obiuku Foundation Unity Cup 2024.
The vision behind the Unity Cup was simply community development and looking at creative ways in which we can reduce the current high crime rates in Enugu South.
This year's tournament brings together the towns of Amici, Azibu, Ekulumiri, Osumeyi, Ukpo, Akuihedi, Ebenato, Esinifite, Unubi, and Otu.
I feel happy, I feel excited.
The foundation's efforts reminds us that with vision and dedication, local initiatives can create lasting positive change across Africa and beyond. Join us. Let us move forward together.
NTA Tuesday Live explores critical issues in Nigerian correctional facilities, including congestion, alleged inhuman treatment of inmates, corruption, and systemic challenges. The discussion, airing on Tuesday, December 10th, 2024, at 10:30 p.m., highlights ongoing federal government efforts to address these concerns and enforce compliance with established laws and ethical standards. NTA Tuesday Live, every week at 10:30 p.m. Incisive and educative. Join us.
Thank you for staying tuned. The conversation is on the rebirth of the Port Harcourt refinery. And just before I bring in my guests to pick up with the conversation, let's find out what's happening in Port Harcourt. We hear reactions have continued to follow the successful rehabilitation of the Port Harcourt refinery. Some say this demonstrates the federal government's commitment to the revitalization of the country's refining sector. Stakeholders acknowledge that the rehabilitated refinery will stimulate economic growth, contribute to the nation's GDP, and enable Nigeria to compete globally in the petroleum products market. Ijoma Ugweke reports.
Rehabilitation of Port Harcourt Refining Company is being applauded as a significant milestone for Nigeria's economy. With an estimated investment of $1.5 billion, the project aims to restore the refinery to at least 90% of its installed capacity.
The impact of this industry here is very numerous because, one, you see other people who are doing small businesses there. Those you never anticipated or looked upon as any people doing their business. Now, you have the major marketers, you have the truck drivers, you have the independent marketers too, who are all doing their business. And under these people, you have different groups who are gaining from them.
You know, you can see that we have a lot of options. We have Dangote, we have NNPC. You know, so what we are appealing to the president, you know, is let the prices of petroleum come down.
Given the turnaround of the Port Harcourt Refining Company, it is expected that the Nigerian oil and gas industry will be financially positioned for long-term energy security and economic growth. In Port Harcourt, Ijoma Ugweke, NTA News.
All right, Comrade Mr. Darihu, you just saw the report from Port Harcourt, but I'll stay with you, Comrade. Looking at other refineries, if we have to replicate, or rather if the nation has to replicate the Port Harcourt story, we have Kaduna, we have Warri. What is happening? What's the outlook?
Yes, as at when the the contracts were awarded because as at then, during the Buhari's administration, we actually engaged the management of NNPC to understand when these refineries could come on stream. So for the old Port Harcourt refinery, we were told, for the new Port Harcourt refinery, this was as at 2021, but we were told that there are some specific equipment that they needed to bring to get that refinery to work. And that the lead time, I mean, we examined some of the documents sent in by the contractors then, that the lead time to manufacture some of those equipment was about 2.5 to 3 years. The reason then was because they have some orders that they were already working on. So we strongly believe that between 2021 and today is almost 3 years now. So those equipment will be arriving anytime soon. So the new Port Harcourt refinery, we believe that by 2025 it should be able to come on stream. But the one that may even come on stream much more earlier is the Warri refinery, because the quick fix that is happening in Warri today, things has actually moved to a greater traction compared to our expectation. So we believe that before half of next year, or maximum before the end of next year, because it's good to give some time. Yes, I understand that the NNPC management, they are saying that mid next year, but conservatively, we believe that before the end of 2025, both the new Port Harcourt refinery and the Warri refinery is going to come on stream. But for the Kaduna was lagging behind a bit, because when the contractor, when they mobilized to Warri, because Warri and Kaduna was giving that at the same time. So when they mobilized to Warri, they couldn't mobilize to Kaduna because of the insecurity as at then. So it took them almost about 6 months later before they now started moving into the Kaduna refinery. But for the Warri and the new Port Harcourt refinery, our expectation is that before the end of 2025, they should come on stream.
Well, Nigerians are hoping. Mr. Dahiru, what would you say is the benefit of this revitalization we're seeing, especially for local communities and the environment?
Thank you very much for that important question. In addition to the fact that the coming on stream of this refinery will reduce Nigeria's reliance on importation of petroleum products, which will save us foreign exchange, and we're also going to export into the international market, which will earn us extra foreign exchange. The coming on stream of refineries in Port Harcourt and Warri will reduce the incidences of illegal refining of products that has caused a lot of pollution and environmental devastation. Because when you have formal setups like the Warri and Port Harcourt refineries 1 and 2 that are operating according to environmental standards, people that want to now do legitimate business will now have reasons to turn to these authentic sources for their businesses. The absence of the Port Harcourt refinery and the Warri refinery for a long time in the Niger Delta actually resulted into a vacuum that was filled by illegal refining of products. So I want to believe that with the coming on stream of these refineries, it's going to be better for the environment because people will now have a reason to turn to legitimate sources of petroleum and gas businesses in the region. So I think it's going to be help to really restore the environment and create environmental sustainability in the long term. So it's an all-round win for the Nigerian state. And as somebody that is a statist, I believe that government has business in business, just like Comrade President also believes. And I believe that particularly when it comes to energy business, government must be involved in the means of production of energy products and services because of the security nature of energy. And so, as a Nigerian, I'm excited and I really congratulate this government, the President, Aswajam Tinubu, the Minister of Petroleum, Senator Heineken Lopobri, the management of the NNPC led by the GMD, Mr. Mele Kyari. They have really done something that we never thought was possible over the years because of constant disappointments from government and the management of this company. So it is an all-round win without any buts for the Nigerian state as it concerns the revival of our refineries.
And Comrade, on a broader scope, looking at the rehabilitation of the refinery, how would you say this will align with Nigeria's broader energy transition, especially in the aspect of the reduction of dependence on imported fuels?
Yes, when you, in terms of dependence on imported fuel, I think it's also a big win just to join my voice as well with what Mujib just said, that it's a big win, because if you import fuel normally, you are going to buy that fuel abroad at the flat price, as Rotterdam. So when you buy it and you are bringing it to Nigeria, there's going to be a lot of logistics cost that will be imputed into it. The cost of hiring vessels, the cost of bringing the bigger vessels and getting the smaller vessels to tap from the bigger vessels, the cost of moving it to the tank farms. These are all logistics costs that will be associated with the importation of any petroleum product, be it PMS, DPK, or AGO. But with us producing locally, that cost is going to be minimized. You could imagine the cost of bringing a tanker, for example, from Malta, from Australia, from China to Nigeria. You cannot compare that with the cost of going to Port Harcourt refinery, taking the product into truck and moving it to the respective stations, or the cost of going to Dangote refinery and get these products right there. So that cost will be eliminated. And at the end, Nigerians will be much more better for it. Because if you look at it effectively, if the cost of crude is constant, when you import products from abroad, it's going to be about 100 naira much more expensive than when you produce locally. That is if the cost of crude is constant. So relatively, it is better off for us to produce locally with all the associated benefits that both of us had reeled out this evening.
Okay, Mr. Darihu, just before I let you go, does this open a new vista for job opportunities?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
You know, the more you produce, the more you create jobs. The more you produce and export, even the bigger jobs you create. And so, like I told you earlier, there are no bots in this enterprise. This is the best thing that has happened to Nigeria in recent times, in living memory, that we have the capacity now as a country, as a government, to produce energy products and services locally. If you know what this means for Nigeria in terms of energy sustainability, energy security, and even economic development, you would agree with me that we can only encourage government to sustain this and make sure that they repeat this fate in Warri and in Kaduna, and if possible, by the grace of God, let them be able to even build more refineries so that Nigeria can really become an energy superpower, create jobs along with it, and generate wealth for our nation. When we have wealth, government will be able to fix our healthcare system, educational system, public infrastructure, and pay decent wages to workers.
All right, comrade, on a final note, what is the barrel per day, talking about the estimated production? Because we're seeing conflicting figures online, so I need that clarification for you.
I know. This current refinery, as it is today, is producing, it can process at full installed capacity 60,000 barrels per day, at full installed capacity. But currently is producing 70% of that capacity. What that means is that you multiply 60 by 0.7, it's going to give you about 42,000 barrels per day today. But they are scaling it up, and we believe that before the end of the year, early next year, when the platformer unit producing the reformate start working, it could get much more, up to 90% installed capacity. But that is why we are all pushing for the new one to come on stream. The new one is about 150,000 barrels capacity. So when that comes on stream, both of them will be giving us at full capacity 210,000 barrels. And even at 80% of that, it will give us a reasonable quantity of petroleum products.
Well, this is the renewed hope era, so what hope would you give Nigerians going forward? Comrade. Comrade.
Yeah, you said?
I said, what hope would you give Nigerians going forward?
Yes, for us, we are focused on getting the refinery work, because if you go to the refinery today, when the refinery was working at full installed capacity, we have over 1,500 of our members of Nigerians that are working in the refinery. But at some point, the numbers of Nigerians working there was reduced to about 50 or 60, just to do some little maintenance here and there. So if the refinery come on stream, we strongly believe that there's going to be more employment because more Nigerians are going to be required to work in these refineries. Kaduna is one of the biggest with a lot of petrochemical processing facilities. And Kaduna, you could have over 2,000 Nigerians working there directly, and you have tens of thousands of Nigerians that will be impacted indirectly. So there is no gainsaying the fact that when this refinery work, Nigeria will win in all fronts.
Thank you so much, Comrade Festus Osifo. He's the president, Pengasan. Thank you for your time on Weekend File.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
And we have Mr. Majid Dahiru, National Policy Analyst. Thank you so much, Mr. Dahiru, for your time.
Thank you very much.
They say, let's keep hope alive, right? So let's ponder on that as we take a break.
With the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
Thank you for staying with us. On global scene, almost all the lawmakers from South Korea's ruling party, we hear, walked out of the chamber to boycott an impeachment vote against President Yoon Suk-yeol, as the motion by lawmakers failed. In other news, Burkina Faso's ruling military leader, Ibrahim Traoré, dismisses the country's prime minister, dissolves government. Charles Alpha will tell us more.
South Korea's parliament on Saturday failed to pass President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment motion, as most of the lawmakers of the ruling People Power Party refused to vote on it. At least 2/3 of the lawmakers need to vote yes to pass the bill. More than 200 lawmakers are required to vote yes to pass the impeachment motion.
국민의힘 의원들이시여.
Speaker of the National Assembly, Woo Won-shik, ended the voting process about 3 hours after waiting for the ruling party lawmakers, announcing the impeachment motion as scrapped on lack of quorum. Elsewhere, Burkina Faso's ruling military leader, Ibrahim Traoré, has dismissed the country's Prime Minister, Apollinaire Joachim Kilem de Tembela, who had served as head of 3 successful governments surviving multiple reshuffles. Reports say no official reason has been given for his removal. Kilem de Tembela was appointed Prime Minister in October 2022 following the coup that brought Ibrahim Traoré to power. The presidential decree announced that the Prime Minister's official functions are terminated, stating that members of the dissolved government would continue handling ongoing matters until a new government is formed. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
And that concludes Weekend File. Thank you for your company. Do have a lovely night rest. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.